So when I was setting up my podcasts for YouTube and everything to make it look visually pleasing for YouTube, I'm trying to make an effort. I'm trying to be like a good YouTuber, right? I did have a red light behind me originally, but it looked like I was about to shoot a porno. So I was like, okay, this isn't good. So I switched it to green, and then it looked like I was going to do a tech review of like the latest iPhone. And I thought, okay, I'm going to change that because that's not the vibe I want. And I thought, you know what? Because today's video is about like creepy stuff. You guys have been requesting like ghost stories. You absolutely love my ghost stories, and so many of you are like, Emma, you're psychic. Maybe I am. I don't know. I just see dead people. I don't literally see dead people. Well, I can't. I'm gonna talk about it. Okay. I decided that, you know, when we tell ghost stories, particularly like in the UK, in the US, in Canada, and so on, we like to tell ghost stories around a campfire. So for the people on YouTube, you will see that I have found a video of a campfire near a beautiful lake, and I've set my light to this flickering effect, so it looks like my house is also on fire for the full effect. I don't know what vibe I was going for. I really don't know what vibe I was going for, but it's the vibe of today, right? And today we're going to talk about creepy stories. Like, you guys absolutely love them. You love when I talk about creepy stuff on my live streams. So I've tried to remember a lot of them, and I've put them all in this podcast episode. I have told a lot of them before, so if you have heard some of these stories, then don't be surprised, because, you know, thank God, not much creepy has happened to me since I left my parents' second house. You know, we moved houses when I was 8, and both of the houses were haunted. I am going to also talk about like nightmares and stuff I had as a kid as well, because these are things that I've mentioned during streams, but I've never gone into in detail. And then the last thing, I want to finish off with superstitions, because I'd like to include a little bit of culture in here as well. And quite a few people have asked about superstitions, so I want to talk about those and maybe compare them to ones in your country, see if they're any different. I know for a fact that some of them are different in some countries, so it'll be interesting. It's going to be an interesting topic. Welcome to the Procrastination Podcast. I ought to really introduce my podcast with your host, Emma. As I said, I'm going to talk about some creepy stories, some ghost stories around the campfire. Woo! And I've got quite a few different stories. Some of these stories are my personal experiences, and some of them are ones from like what my mum has told me, or my dad, if, you know, I remember some that my dad has told me. So yeah, I want to go through those. I'll get stuck straight in. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, you will find that a lot of these stories you cannot explain. You just can't explain these ones and what happened. I think I even missed one of them. Oh no, I didn't. No. There's one on here that no one has been able to explain. And I trust my mum and dad. I don't know why they would lie. My dad is also a skeptic, so he doesn't believe in ghosts and the paranormal and stuff like that. He doesn't believe in ghosts. He thinks that there's always like a logical explanation to things, and that's fair enough. My mum, on the other hand, really does like the paranormal. She also has a very good intuition and stuff like that, so yeah, maybe she's psychic too, I don't know. I don't really kind of believe that sort of stuff, if that makes sense. But I'll start with the first thing. So, when I was born in York. Now, York is haunted as shit. It is one of like the most famous cities for like ghost walks and ghost tours and stuff like that. If you go to the city of York, you can book these like ghost walks. So as you're walking around during the day, you will see people like dressed in old Victorian clothing, pretending to be dead, and they'll come up to you like, oh, there's a ghost walk tonight at 9 p.m. Do you want to come? And yeah, you'll pay something like £5-6. You'll go, they'll tell you a couple of creepy stories, they walk around the city. I've been on one ghost walk, like ghost tour in my entire life. That was in the first week of university. I could go around and do like a ghost tour. I think it was very cheap. I think it was like £2 or something like that. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that. I've never been on a ghost tour before. It's Freshers Week. Freshers Week in the UK is the first week, or maybe 2 weeks, sometimes 2 weeks, when you first start university. You usually go like a week or two before, and you don't have any lessons. There are no classes, no seminars, lectures, nothing. Maybe just like some admin stuff you might have to go to, but really you don't have lessons or anything like that. So during that week, you tend to go to like parties or go to like different events. It's basically just a time for you to meet new friends. Well, meet new people to make new friends. And yeah, I decided to go on this ghost walk with some completely random people, with some strangers, some other students who I'd never met. And it was very interesting going round, hearing the stories, because I had grown up there. I heard about the stories that my mum had shared. For example, the roads in York, or some of the roads in York, are higher than they were in the past. So in the past, for example, the roads would be much lower down. And then, of course, as time's gone on, we've like built on top of the roads and stuff like that. And, I get like proper shivers. I get goosebumps. You know, goosebumps are like those like bumps on your skin when you hear an amazing song, or when you get scared or something like that. And I've got goosebumps when I tell these sorts of stories. But in York, there are certain streets where people have reported seeing only half of people's bodies. So they will only see like the top half of their body, because the bottom half is still walking on like the original road, like the old road. So there are people who like, you know, are walking around or whatever, and suddenly they just see like these half bodies like floating, you know? It's just horrible. I've got goosebumps. It's so horrible. So yeah. When I was born, we lived in York until I was 8, and the house we lived in was very close to a cemetery or a graveyard. So, of course, graveyards contain dead bodies, ghosts. And I'll be honest, I've been to some very creepy places in my life, but whenever I go to a graveyard or something, I feel very at peace. I don't know if anyone else feels this way. Let me know. But I feel very, very at peace when I go to graveyards. I feel very calm. And many people get creeped out because it's like, ooh, dead bodies, ooh, zombies. But as much as I hate zombies, they really don't creep me out that much, you know, because they always say that the safest place to be is in a graveyard because everyone is dead. Like, nothing can happen to you because everyone is dead. It's the safest place you can be. And it kind of makes sense, right? But yeah, they definitely do give off creepy vibes. So yeah, we lived in this small terraced house. A terraced house is when you have like a row of houses and they're just like, you know, next to each other. These very thin houses next to each other in these long rows. And we lived near this graveyard. So weird stuff would always happen in this house. Always happen. I think the first ever creepy encounter I ever had was, I don't remember how old I was. I was young. It was definitely under the age of 8, because it was before we moved house, right? So I remember it was quite late and my mum said, you know, okay, you ought to go to bed now, you know, go to bed. Do you want me to come to bed with you and tuck you into bed? I said, no, it's okay. And my brothers were also going to bed as well. Now, my brothers shared a bedroom and I had my own bedroom, right? So we walked up these stairs and these stairs kind of like curled around a little bit. They weren't the spirally stairs, but they didn't go straight up. Like they kind of curled at the top and then you were at the top of the stairs. And opposite the top of the stairs was my brother's bedroom, so you could see the door, you know, straight away as soon as you got to the top of the stairs. And I can still remember, you know, little Emma was walking up these stairs, and all of a sudden I saw this massive hand. It was like a white, just a huge hand. I have very tiny hands, actually. It was huge. Fun fact. It was a huge hand. It just came from under the door. Just like this, just like came from under the door. And I screamed, I panicked, I freaked out. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know what to do. I just ran downstairs, Mom. I was shaking, I was crying, I was traumatized. Mom, I've just seen a hand under the door. I've just seen a hand under the door. There's a hand under the door. Nah! And oh, goodness me, I was terrified, absolutely terrified. So that was my first experience. And I remember my mum, I don't remember exactly how she reacted, but from my memory, I remember her being fairly calm and just being kind of like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. It's probably nothing. You're probably tired. You're probably, like imagining things as you do tell a child, it's like when a child has a bad dream, you tell them, no, it's just a bad dream, it's not real, don't worry. It was like that. So yeah, I went off to bed, traumatized for the rest of my life, as you can see, still traumatized. And I absolutely hate the dark as well. Like I'm genuinely scared of the dark. And when I tell people that, especially other adults, they kind of look at me like, why would you be scared of the dark? That's what children do. But when you've seen creepy shit like I have, like movements in the dark and stuff, and figures and shapes at the bottom of your bed and stuff like that, it's like creepy. You get genuinely scared of the dark. I get very scared. I'm creeping myself out now. I'm at home alone and I'm just like creeped out. So yeah, the hand under the door. Another one was something that I actually found out later in life. Now, if you remember, my mum was acting very calm from my memory, She was acting very calm when I told her about the hand coming from under the door. But she confided? She told me when I was a little bit older, maybe 13, 14, maybe 15-ish, in my teens. She told me that, because I brought it up again. I said, oh, do you remember that time I saw that hand under the door? She said, yeah, God, actually, you really scared me, Emma. I said, what do you mean? Because I remember you being really calm, like you didn't believe me. She said, no, Emma. I saw loads of things happening in that house. And I got really scared. And when you told me that you could see stuff as well, it kind of made me feel less crazy. But also, how do I put it? I don't want to say that she was relieved. It wasn't the word relieved. She kind of just felt like, okay, someone else can see this stuff as well. It's not just me. Because bear in mind, me and my brothers were quite young. I am the eldest. I'm the big sister. And my dad is a skeptic, so I can imagine my poor mum seeing stuff around the house. She's got these 3 kids who don't really report seeing anything. And then she tells my dad, and my dad's like, yeah, it's just creaking pipes. It's just the wind. It's just whatever. Like, there's always a logical reason, right? So yeah, my mum was kind of glad that I could see something. It confirmed that she wasn't going crazy or anything like that. And she told me more stories. And she told me that she wanted to tell me these stories later in life because she thought that if she told me when I was younger, that's a complicated sentence, that I would then start imagining these things. You understand? So if she told me these things like, oh yes, I see this, then maybe me as a child would then start to imagine these things as well. And just imagine like they're not real things happening. Maybe I would joke and mess around or whatever. So my mum never told me. She also didn't want to scare me. But my mum did tell me that she used to wake up in the middle of the night and always need to go for a wee, like a midnight wee. I think many women, we tend to wake up for midnight pees. It's very normal for women. So my mum was no exception. She always used to wake up for a midnight pee. And sometimes when she woke up, she would see a man with no face standing like over my dad. So like standing on my dad's side of the bed, just like looking down at my dad. And then my mum would just be like, yeah, I'm just going to hold my pee till the morning. I've decided I'm not going to pee. It's okay. My poor mum. She also told me that a lot of things would go missing or things would move. So for example, she would put like a knife on the counter, she would leave the room, she would go back and the knife would be on the table. Or, you know, keys would go missing, like she would be looking for some keys and she wouldn't be able to find them anywhere, and then a little while later they would suddenly appear. I mean, you could say that my mum was going crazy and, you know, misplaced the keys. Or she thought that she put the keys on the table and then when she went back later they're on the counter, but maybe she put them on the counter originally. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could always explain these things like that. Maybe my mum was going crazy at the time, but I don't think so. You know, it happening once or twice, yeah, but it happening a lot, you know. My mum doesn't have any conditions that would affect her memory that badly, so it's a little bit odd that things would go missing or knives or keys or objects would be moved around when she wasn't there. One thing though, if you're still a little bit skeptical about this house, actually I've got two things. Both are very creepy. The second one is the creepiest. This first one though, that I'm going to share, I have no memory of this. I must have been very, very young when this happened. But my parents were in the living room and the kitchen was just next door to the living room. So you had to leave the living room, go into the hallway, and then go into the kitchen. So even though they were next door, like the kitchen and the living room were together, they weren't connected with a door. You had to leave and go into the hallway. And my mum and dad were in the living room, and then all of a sudden they just heard this bang, like this bang noise. And my mum, you know, kind of looked at my dad like, what on earth was that? What the hell was that? And they both went into the kitchen, and the cupboard door had been removed, like taken off. And you may think, well, Emma, it may have fallen. It might just have fallen off. Okay. Keep that in mind. The cupboard door wasn't in the place where it had come off. It was placed next to the area where it had been taken off. So it, you know, I'm trying to like make it very clear what I'm talking about. If you imagine the cupboard door is like attached, it's like someone has taken it off and then just put it to the side, like on the left. So then you've got like the hole where it was on the right, and then the door that's been removed on the left. So it wasn't like it had been fallen or been taken off or anything. It was like someone had moved it. You know, they took it off and then they moved it to the side. Like, I'll deal with that later. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? That makes no sense. I find that very, very unusual. And my parents have no reason to lie. You know, they wouldn't lie for fame or anything like that. It's not like they're making videos like these, you know, ghost YouTube videos or anything like that. They're just two people living their lives, and the cupboard door came off and it was just, just bang. It must have been the noise of the cupboard door, like, you know, falling. Oop, I just punched my mic. Of the cupboard door, like, falling and being moved. Oh, it's very weird. Very, very weird. The last story I want to tell about this house is with my younger brother. And my brother is, how old is he now? I think my brother's, hold on, I'm 28 28. I'm 29 this year, so he must be about 26, 27. He'll be 26, I think. More or less 26. I should know. I don't even remember my own birthday, never mind my brother's birthday, so don't be surprised at this. When he was very, very young, I'm talking very young, like 3, 4 years old, maybe 5-ish, my mum once walked past his bedroom and he was in his bedroom playing, or so my mum thought, right? He was like playing away and he was talking like he was having a conversation, but it was like one-sided. So it was like, I'm fine, thanks. No, I don't know. Maybe, I think so. Do you know what I mean? It's like he was responding, but there was no one else there. So my mum just walked into his bedroom and said, Robbie, his name is, my mum called him Robbie when he was younger. Oh, Robbie, who are you talking to? Oh, the TV. The TV? Yeah, the TV. What do you mean, the TV? The TV wasn't on. The TV was turned off. I said, the TV's talking to me, Mum. The TV's talking to me. And my mum was so freaked out that she just, left the room, okay. Just, left the room while this demon was talking to my brother. So funny. Yeah. So that was the first house. Those are all the stories that I can remember from the first house. I'm sure that there are loads more, but those are the ones that really, really used to creep us out. I remember we also used to get massive spiders, proper tarantula-sized spiders. I can still remember as well, we were sitting on the sofa and we were watching this film and it was quite dark, it was at night time, it was just the TV light that, lit up the room. Then all of a sudden I saw something on the floor moving. And I was like, what's that on the floor? And I was like, oh my god, there's a spider, there's a tarantula on the floor. I don't know where these tarantulas came. It must have been someone's, escaped tarantula, because I don't think we get wild tarantulas in England. Someone's tarantula must have escaped and it made its way into our home and lived under our sofa. But, I mean, how the hell did it get in there? It's very weird. It just added to the creepy atmosphere some more. But yeah, no, I used to see, some weird stuff. I used to see, stuff in mirrors. So, I have this is, the weirdest fear. I wonder, actually, if it's, a genuine thing. I'm just gonna Google this. Fear of mirrors. I have a genuine fear of mirrors. It's called well, how do you pronounce this? Isotrophobia. Isotrophobia? Yeah. Isotrophobia, apparently, is a rare phobia that causes sufferers to be irrationally fearful of mirrors or seeing themselves in a mirror. These are those with this phobia present some of the following symptoms or reactions: anxiety, panic, da-da-da-da-da-da. I mean, I don't panic, but I get very scared when I have to do simple things like brush my hair, do my makeup, and over the years I've managed to deal with it better. As you get older you learn to deal with these fears a little bit more, but I have a genuine fear of mirrors, and that's not something that many people know. I also have a fear, while we're on the topic of fears, of deep water. What's that called as well? Fear of deep water. Even pictures. Is it phasalophobia? Something like that? Yeah. Let me have a look at the pronunciation as well of that. Pronunciation. How to pronounce Thalassophobia. Thalassophobia. That's it. Thalassophobia is a type of specific phobia that involves a persistent or intense fear of deep bodies of water, such as the ocean or sea, where aquaphobia involves the fear of water itself. I'm not aquaphobic, like I'm not scared of water. I shower, I brush my teeth with water, it's fine. But yeah, the other one, what was it? Thalassophobia, that one, is like this fear of deep water. And oh God, I still remember this time. I get so anxious when I think of this story. I went on a banana boat in Salou. Spanish people will call it Salou in Spain, but we call it Salou in English. I went to Salou. When I used to live in Tarragona, we decided, you know what, let's check out Salou for the day and see what it's like. Because I'd never been. And I went with some friends, and my friends wanted to go on this banana boat, which is this big, long yellow boat that you sit on, and it's like attached to a jet boat kind of thing, and it goes really fast, and you're like bouncing on the water. And then there's a point where they like flip you off the boat, and you have to get back on. Oh my God, I had like, I really tried to repress like a panic attack as I was just in this body of water. Like, I was thinking, don't look down, don't think that you're in water. You're not in water, it's okay. Just imagine you're in a pool. It's okay. Maybe I should talk about that one day. Maybe I need therapy. I don't need therapy. I've got a podcast. You guys are listening to me. But yeah, I have a fear of mirrors, and I have a fear of deep water. When I go to bed at night, the bedroom and the bathroom in my flat right now are opposite each other. So if the door for the bedroom is open and the door for the bathroom is open, you can see into the bathroom a little bit. And there's a mirror directly like in front of the entrance. So as you walk into the bathroom, bang, there's a mirror. So there's no avoiding that one. Creeps me out every time. I always just kind of like look down when I go in the bathroom. It's such like a weird fear. Like, why? It's so weird. But it's because like as a kid, I used to see like someone standing behind me, or I would be looking in the mirror and there would be like a dark movement, like a dark shadow behind me or something. And I'm kind of scared to like see that as an adult. It's weird. I don't know how to describe. Why am I telling you this? Why am I confessing these things? But yes, anyway, I have this weird fear of mirrors because I used to see stuff in the mirrors, hear noises quite a lot. Some people as well, like, hear their name, and I don't think, touch wood, I've never heard my name and I don't want to hear my name. You know, some people kind of report they hear like, you know, Emma, and they kind of look around like, what was that? Apparently, if you do hear someone calling your name and it's not a real person, like you're alone, don't respond. I don't know why. I just saw that on TikTok, so of course it's real. I don't know what it means. Oh, I tell you something as well. This one isn't so creepy, but when my grandma died, I remember my grandma used to call me Emmy. Okay, it's like a cute way of saying Emma, right? And this is why I hate people call me Emmy. Like, just don't do it. I really don't like it. I don't even find it funny when people call me Emmy. It's not cute. It's not nice. Like, she was the only person that called me it. Maybe my mum sometimes as well, but more my grandma. And my grandma was in hospital for a few days, maybe like a week or so, and then she died during the night. And I remember my mum woke me up in the night, you know, to tell me like, Emma, grandma's died. And I remember just waking up, like, kind of being half asleep and just being like, oh, okay, thanks for telling me. And I remember I was just laid in bed, and then all of a sudden I just heard, I feel like really emotional telling you this, but yeah, I remember like I heard my grandma's voice in my head kind of say like, bye Emmy, and then And then I just like burst into tears. Like, I want to do now. I won't cry. But yeah, I remember that happening. That was not creepy, wasn't scary. It was just like hearing her voice, and I started crying. And I remember I was like crying in bed, cried myself to sleep. I had to go to work the next day. I used to work in a supermarket then, and I had to go into work the next day, and I was absolutely distraught that my grandma had died, because like, you know, old people, when they get sick so quickly, and then they're like dead the next day. Do you know what I mean? Like they're so vulnerable. And my grandma wasn't even that old. She was like in her 60s. It was just out of nowhere. It really was. And I feel like I'm at a therapy session. Fucking hell. But yeah, I just remember going to work and like crying. You know, I used to work on the tills, so I used to basically the checkouts. We call them the tills. Oh, my camera's died. I better. Oh, I don't know where it stopped recording. Okay, YouTube, you're back. Sorry, I don't know when it stopped recording, but I will put the audio. I will put the audio over so you'll still be able to hear it. But yeah, I remember I was like, you know, on the tills, and I was like crying, you know, from what had happened. And my supervisor came up to me and she's like, Emma, can you smile a bit more, please? And I said, I'm really sorry, my grandma died last night, and I'm really upset about it, as anyone naturally would be if they were close to that person. And she said, oh, well, a few years ago, I was on my shift and I found out that my dad died, and I just had to carry on and do my shift like normal. So you're just gonna have to smile and just, you know, get over it. I just remember thinking, wow, you're such a bitch. Like, why are people such assholes? They have like zero sympathy. It's almost like, oh, I had a shit experience, so you should have one too. Instead of thinking, you know what, I had a shit experience where I couldn't go and process what had happened to my dad because I was at work, and you're not allowed to as well. Like, surely you would develop some empathy, but some people don't, I guess. They just don't. So yeah. Anyway, those are the stories from the first house. I'm going to jump onto the stories of the next house. I may not have time for the superstitions. I might have to leave them for another episode. I'll see. But yeah, so in the second house, we moved to this second house in a new town, so not in York anymore, when I was 8. And creepy stuff used to happen in this house as well. I remember I used to hear like footsteps a lot of the time, like people like literally walking from like one side of the house to the other. And you cannot say to me it was creaky pipes. It really wasn't. It was literally just dun 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 dun. It was literally like footsteps that you could hear, especially in the loft. So we had this attic, aka loft. And I used to hear some really weird stuff up there. My dad used to have a computer chair up there. I think he still does, actually. It's like falling apart. That chair's older than me. But I remember I used to hear like his chair moving. You know, my bedroom was more or less below. So I could hear like movements and stuff upstairs. If anyone was upstairs, I would hear it. And I can still remember I would hear his chair. I would hear his chair like rolling around, you know, because it was on like these casters, like the wheels. It would just be like rolling around and moving. Or I would hear footsteps. I would hear talking. Weird stuff. And I think one of the creepiest things that's ever happened was when I was in my brother's room. So my brothers would have the Xbox upstairs in the loft. And they had the PlayStation 2 in their bedroom. I didn't have any games consoles in my bedroom. I just had my PC in my bedroom. And I was sitting on the floor and, you know, playing this game on the PlayStation, which was already quite a creepy game, actually. Not super creepy. It was just one of these, like, point-and-click adventure games sort of thing. I was playing that. I had my cat with me. And my cat was just like, you know, sitting on my lap as I'm playing this game. She's sound asleep on my lap. The bed's behind me. And the bed that my brothers used to sleep in was a bunk bed. So it was like a bed on top of another bed. It was like 2 beds together. We call it a bunk bed in English. And there was one of those behind me that my brothers used to sleep on. So I'm playing this game, and it's a pretty quiet game. You know, there's not much kind of going on in the game. I could hear one of my brothers upstairs on the Xbox, you know, shouting and whatever. And all of a sudden, I just hear this kind of like really deep, slow breathing. I'm getting goosebumps. And I remember thinking, oh shit, maybe one of my brothers is asleep. Like, you know, on the top bunk. Because I knew no one was sleeping on the bottom bunk. Because, you know, I had my back against it. No one was there. And I thought, oh shit, maybe one of my brothers is asleep on the top one. Maybe having an afternoon nap. I don't know. Whatever. And I kept hearing it. Just over and over. I thought, oh, okay, maybe I ought to turn the volume down on this game. So I turned the volume down. So, of course, I can hear the sound louder now. And it was creeping me out a little bit. But I thought, oh, it's just one of my brothers. Like, it's no problem. No big deal. And then I thought, maybe it's the cat, actually. Listen to the cat? Nah, there's no way she could have produced, like, that deeper breathing. And then all of a sudden, I heard my other brother upstairs talking and playing a game with the other brother. So both my brothers were upstairs in the loft playing on the Xbox together. And I thought, hold on. If I'm here and my brothers are both upstairs and it's not the cat, then what the hell is behind me? And I remember being so scared. I just, you know, I heard the noise again. So I picked up my cat. She was called Scrappy. Okay, picked up my cat Scrappy, turned off the PlayStation, turned off the TV, and I just quickly looked behind me. And don't worry, I didn't see anything. Okay, didn't see anything, but I just quickly looked behind me just in case. And then I just ran out. Okay, I like power walked down the stairs. I had my cat with me. So I was like, there's no way I'm leaving my cat in there, you know? I love this cat to pieces. No way I'm leaving her behind. Walked downstairs. My mum was downstairs. And I just went, Mum, I can hear breathing in the boys' room. She's like, what? So I can hear breathing in the boys' room. It's really loud breathing. Come and have a listen. Mum was like, okay, let's have a listen. Let's go. So my mum went upstairs. And we both just stood in the doorway. So, you know, you've got like the entrance, okay, where the door is. We call it the doorway. She stood in the doorway. She was kind of standing inside a little bit. I was like standing outside because I was bloody scared. I didn't want to go in. And then all of a sudden we heard it again, just. And my mum, I remember she was like looking in the bedroom and she heard that noise and she turned to me and she went, close the door. She went, don't ever tell your brothers about this. And she just went downstairs and never said a word. Never said a word about it again. We never spoke about it. We never ever spoke about it again. I remember that. Yeah, it was really creepy. Very, very creepy. We used to hear people walking up the stairs as well. I used to get the feeling that people were like with me. So for example, I would be sitting downstairs. The dining room was just next to the living room and it opens, you know, in like you can go into each room. They're connected with these double doors. And I remember there would be times when I would sit in the dining room and then I would you know, you get that feeling when, like, someone walks into a room. Like, you can feel when someone walks into a room. Or at least I can, right? I can feel if someone is standing behind me. I can feel if someone is, like, around me. You get a feeling. You can feel like that person is there. And I would feel like someone was walking towards me. Or in the living room, I would just be watching TV. And the amount of times, I cannot tell you, my mum and I, like, our intuitions were, like, synced, I swear. Like, they were connected. We would be sitting in the living room, and then all of a sudden, like, the atmosphere would change. Like, something would happen. And we would both look at the door. At the same time, we would both look at the door like we were expecting someone to come in. And there would be no one there, you know? And then we would kind of look at each other like, did you feel? Yeah, I felt that. Okay. And we just carry on watching TV like nothing happened. That's so creepy. Something that also happened fairly recently as well, because from time to time I go and see my dad. My mum doesn't live there anymore. She moved out, but my dad still lives in the haunted house. And I go and see my dad from time to time. It's more difficult during Corona times, of course. I don't go and see him, but whenever we're allowed to, you know, I go see my dad. And yeah, the dog. My dad used to have this dog who recently died, actually. It was really sad, and my dad was really upset about it. He was called Jake, and he was very, very cute. He was a Sprocker Spaniel, so you can Google that if you want. Very, very cute breed. But he was old. My dad adopted him, and, you know, he was a very old dog, and he wasn't really with us for very long, unfortunately, but he had a great end of life with my dad, and that was the main thing. It's best to have, like, a short time spent with someone that's absolutely amazing than it is to have a rubbish time with someone, but be with them for longer. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, he used to just, like, stare into space. And I remember my dad had gone off to work. He works night shifts, and it was just me and Jake. And I had, like, some treats for Jake. And I was just, you know, playing with him, like, stroking him, chatting to him and stuff. And then he just, like, started staring, like, above my head. So I remember I was just, like, sitting there, and then all of a sudden he was just, like, staring, like, above me. Like, there was something above and behind me. And I remember saying to him, like, Jake, stop it, you little weirdo, like, creeping me out. But also, I tell you something else that's really weird. And it isn't just me that's reported this. One of my brothers has also reported this, okay? I used to sit on the sofas, and I would feel the sofa, like, the space on the sofa next to me move down, like someone was sitting on it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I would be sitting on the sofa and then it's like someone had sat next to me, but no one was sitting next to me, and you would, like, see this indent of where someone was sitting. So yeah, the ghost just wanted to sit and, like, chill with me and just vibe with me while we watched Loose Women. Do you know what I mean? Loose Women is this rubbish TV show in the UK. It really is. It's like absolute trash TV. It's just terrible. But yeah, clearly the ghost liked that. They enjoyed watching TV. It also happened, as I said, to my brother as well. You know, he would sit down, he would hear, like, the leather moving, because they used to have a leather sofa. They still have a leather sofa now, but it's a different one. And yeah, you would hear, like, the leather moving, like someone would be sitting down on the chair or on the sofa. Creeped my brother out as well. Poor guy. But some other things, yeah, I don't think we're going to have time to go through the superstitions. I'm going to leave the superstitions to do in another episode, I think. I think I'll do it after this one, because it's already planned. I've got everything here. And it might be a fairly short episode, unless I can find some stories. I'm just full of stories, and I love telling stories. But yeah, some ones in Bristol. So now I live in Bristol, which is a city in the west of England. Is it the west? No, it's pretty weak. Yeah, west. It's in the west. I remember when my boyfriend and I, and many of you know this story, okay? If you don't, then, you know, sit tight, you're gonna like this one. Explain this one, right? I went to the cinema with my boyfriend. There's a few cinemas in Bristol, but there's one in particular called the Odeon. Okay, the Odeon Cinema in the centre of Bristol. And my boyfriend and I went to the cinema to go see a film. I don't remember what film it was, but we went. And I went to the toilet because, of course, I like to go to the toilet before I see the film because you can't pause the film if you're in a cinema. So I went to the toilet beforehand. I went to the toilet by myself, of course, because my boyfriend couldn't go in the toilets with me. And no one else was in the toilets. It was just me. But as soon as I entered these toilets, I felt really scared. For like no reason whatsoever. I just felt scared. And when you enter these toilets in the Odeon, if anyone has been in the cinema in Bristol, they'll know what I mean. But as you enter, there's just like a row of mirrors in front of you. So of course, that's like my biggest fear. Right in front of me. Like all these mirrors. By the way, I'm not scared like of like houses of mirrors. You know, like when you go to carnivals and stuff like that and theme parks, you have like this maze of mirrors. I'm not scared of anything like that, don't worry. It's just something in case I see something I don't want to see. Does that make sense? I mean, if I go to a house of mirrors, it would make me look fat. Maybe I'll be maybe I'll be scared of that. Like I just see this fat version of myself. But anyway, I'm not scared of that, don't worry. So yeah, it's just this row of mirrors, and I've already got this like creepy feeling for absolutely no reason. I just walked in and just needed to pee before the film, and instantly I was like, don't look at the mirrors, don't look at the mirrors, don't look at the mirrors. And I just had this feeling, like a voice in my head telling me, don't look at the mirrors. And I remember I just like looked down, and I was in this cubicle, and I've never peed so fast in my life. Oh my god, I peed so fast because I just wanted to get out. I was so scared. And then as soon as I was finished, I just left. But this is something that I can't quite explain to people. Maybe people who are like actually psychic can explain this. But I still remember like feeling that there was a man in there. I could feel that there was like a man like at the end of the room. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's weird to explain. If anyone is like psychic and sees dead people and ghosts, like please contact me genuinely, because I want to like talk about this at some point in my life. I think now is like a good time during this therapy session. It would be good to talk about this to someone who is maybe like a trained medium who, you know, can control this power that they have. But I could just like feel, I'm going to try and explain it the best way I can, but I could feel like the energy of a man in this room, and he was like standing, or he was existing in this like certain area of the toilets, and I was just terrified to like look in that direction. I also get scared like whenever I go to certain places. It tends to be like, you know, pubs or maybe like old places or whatever. Sometimes parks. I get the feeling of like, don't look over there, don't look over there, don't look over there, for like no reason. Like there'll be no reason at all. It's literally just like, don't look there, don't look there, you might see something that you don't want to see, don't look there. And I get scared for like no reason. It doesn't happen often. Like I don't walk around Bristol like, oh, I'm terrified to look everywhere. And I'm just like, you know, covering my eyes everywhere. It's not like that at all. I live a very normal life. It's just from time to time, if I go to like any of these places, it's just like, I don't know, I just get these feelings. If anyone else gets these feelings, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, then I can't explain them any better, really. I can't express myself better and how it feels. So, yeah, I could feel this energy, let's call it like a male energy, but like, it was like an angry male energy. I could tell that this thing was not happy that I was in that toilet. You know, I could tell that they were angry and they wanted me out and they wanted me to feel scared. So as soon as I left, I told my boyfriend, and my boyfriend is a massive skeptic as well, like my dad. And I told him, like, there is someone in those toilets, like, and he was like, what? I was like, there's someone in those toilets. There's like a ghost in those toilets, Nico. Like, I'm really scared. My boyfriend's called Nico, by the way, if people don't know. You'll hear his name pop up quite a bit. But yeah, I was terrified. Anyway, we went to see the film, and then went back home. You know, it was on my mind, but life continued as normal. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to have a look. I'm going to see if anything has, like, happened there. Like, have any murders happened there, or someone died in that cinema? Like, what's going on? I want to find out what's happened. And then when I looked, I might see if I can find the article. Actually, murder in Bristol Odeon. There's some keyboard ASMR for you. Yeah, here we are. Bristol's... yeah, that's him. Oh my goodness. Yeah. More than 70 years ago, the manager of a Bristol cinema was gunned down. So, gunned down means shot, right? He was shot while those at the Picture House is just an old name for a cinema. Sometimes people as well, particularly in the north of England, call the cinema the Pictures. So they'll say, do you want to go to the Picture? Let's say that again. Do you want to go to the Pictures this weekend? Instead of, do you want to go to the cinema? Sometimes I call it the Pictures. It's just a northern thing, I think. If anyone is from the south and says the Pictures as well, then let me know. But I've never heard anyone from the south use it. And whenever I have, they've looked at me a bit weird. But yeah, those at the Picture House, the cinema, continued unaware watching a movie. The killer of Robert Parrington Jackson has never been brought to justice, meaning he's never been found, in what is the city's oldest cold case still being investigated. The murder took place on May 19th, 1946, but the packed 2,000-strong audience watching The Lights That Failed were oblivious, so they didn't know, they didn't realise, were oblivious to the crime when the gunshot, thought to have coincided with firing in the film, masked the sound. So we say to shoot a gun, to fire a gun, so it coincided. There was a gun fired, a gun shot in the film at the same time as the gun shot in real life at this guy, masking the sound. Masking means covering. It covered the sound. And then later, in this article is just from the Bristol Post. It does talk a little bit about, like, the history of it, and apparently it was a robbery. It should say, where is it? A robbery... the robber killer. Yeah, police always maintained they were looking for two men and always believed it had been a robbery gone wrong. Detectives say that they looked into the jealous lover rumours but found nothing. After years of speculation and rumour, Jeff Fisher walked into a police station in Cardiff in 1993 and announced that his father was the killer. He said his father, an accomplice is like an assistant in a crime, had panicked when the manager had walked in on them trying to open the safe. The safe is like a box where you keep valuables. You normally have a code or something. We call it a safe. You get them in hotels. You can put money and passports and stuff in them. Before the fish shot Mr. Parrington Jackson. So yeah, apparently, like, there's this ghost still going round of this guy, and you know, it's actually kind of sad if you think about it. I always think of ghosts and spirits as just being, they're just scared people, you know, who could never pass over, if you want to believe it that way. It's what I believe in anyway. It's like, they're scared, they have, like, I don't know, unfinished business here. You know, maybe he's still haunting the women's toilets or haunting the cinema in general because he's pissed that he was killed. You know what I mean? He's pissed off that he was murdered. I mean, I would be pissed off if someone murdered me. I'm just going into work and someone shoots me. Do you know what I mean? I've done nothing wrong. But yeah, I mean, explain that. Explain that. Why would I go into a place and be like, oh yeah, I feel like something is here. There's a man here, like an angry man. I can feel something. And then when I researched, there was like a murder there, like years ago. It's so weird. The final one that I want to talk about before we finish, because this is nearly like an hour long. I don't think I'll be able to talk about the nightmares and stuff. I may get some time. I'll see. If I make this episode like an hour long, we should be okay. But the final story that I want to share is one that's actually in this flat where I'm living right now. So my flat kind of you have like the main entrance, and then on the other side where the kitchen and stuff is, it's like this alleyway, and this alleyway just goes towards this not a bike shed, a bin shed, okay, where you take out your rubbish. There's nothing really down there, but from the day we moved in, I've always been creeped out by this alleyway, and it's not a creepy alleyway. Like, there's plants, there's, you know, a nice green bush, there's, you know, grass, like, it's not like covered and smells of pee and, you know, is dirty or whatever. Like, it's fine, it looks nice, like, there's nothing wrong with it, but I've always had like a creepy vibe whenever I've walked down there. And you know, sometimes when I'm walking, I feel like someone is behind me, you know, as I'm walking, and I kind of like do look a little bit like it. Maybe someone was there, you know, and I just look and there's no one there. And a few years ago, I was taking out some rubbish. So I had this big bin bag, and I left, you know, I went to take out the rubbish, and then as I was coming back, there was like a bouquet of flowers. So a bouquet of flowers is just like an arranged, beautiful bunch of flowers. There's this bunch of flowers just outside my kitchen, like on the ground, and they weren't just like laid down, like they were kind of sitting up, like they had been placed there. And I am wondering whether someone has died down there, someone has being killed. I really don't know. I get goosebumps again thinking about it. My poor skin is like, you know, on goosebump overdrive this episode, but I wonder if someone was killed down there. And I have tried to find news articles, you know, tried to find like maybe it was reported in the news that someone was murdered or someone had died or something. To this day, I still haven't been able to find anything, but I'm convinced that there's like someone there. And as well, do you remember I told you before that I was quite scared to look in certain places? Like I'm actually, you know, kind of scared. Like sometimes if I walk into a room, it's like, don't look in that corner, don't look in that corner, or don't look in that mirror, don't look in that mirror. I get that when I'm in my kitchen. And I get this feeling of like, don't look out the window, don't look out the window, don't look out the window. But it's only at certain times. It's not all the time. So it's not like I'm scared to look out the window. Like if I look out the window now, it's fine. Wouldn't that be creepy if I looked out the window as like a face? My God, fucking hell. But I can look out the window, it's no problem. But there are times when I'll be in the kitchen, it'll be broad daylight, it'll be in the middle of the day. And then it's like, bing. Don't look out the window. Don't look out the window, Emma. Don't look out the window. And what I tend to do is I either don't look out the window or I leave the room. I leave the room and I think I'll come back later when this feeling has settled, you know. Or I'll close the blinds because we have some blinds, you know, that cover the window. But yeah. Creepy stuff. I'm still trying to find out more about that. From time to time, I'll kind of get curious, like, I wonder if I can find something. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't explain that one. But I think I've covered all my stories. I haven't been able to cover my nightmares. I think I'll talk about that another day in another therapy session. I think I'm just going to call these podcast episodes my therapy sessions. But yeah, I talked about the cupboard, talked about my brothers, the breathing, footsteps, yeah. Oh yeah, I covered everything, covered absolutely everything. And this episode is nearly an hour long, almost exactly. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you have any comments to make about this, I really genuinely would be so interested to hear like your ghost stories. What do you think about some of these stories? Do you believe me? Do you not believe me? Do you think that I'm crazy? I think I am too. I think I'm crazy too. It's fine, but it would be interesting to see what other people think as well. Let me know. But yes, I'll talk about nightmares and superstitions in another episode, and I will just bid you farewell right now. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.